Hey everybody, today I'm planting some misfit shrubs, primarily hydrangeas, but I got some other perennials and different things in here as well. And by misfit, I just mean they're plants that are perfectly good, but they're maybe growing a little funny. So like this one here, this one somehow got tilted when it first got planted, and then it kind of started rooting in this way, and we didn't catch it, we didn't change it. And so in order to kind of correct this now, it will naturally start growing up. It's just going to kind of be over to the side a little bit. But if when we plant it, we kind of correct it, put it back on, it's pointing back up, it's going to fill in really nice next year. And then when we trim it again, next fall, we're going to really be mindful of, where we want things to grow. And then by the year after that, no one's going to even know that this was a misfit. So this one's, easy to correct. And we have a bunch of them that ended up this way. So I'm going to be working with those. And this one here is a little lime punch, which gets incredible color. It's in the limelight family. It's a little smaller than a limelight, but beautiful, beautiful color on that hydrangea. And then this one here, I wouldn't really call it a misfit, but this one here is called Early Evolution, and it's one of the smallest hydrangeas on the market. It stays more around that 3-foot mark, and it's just a really beautiful one. But this one just happened to be growing with a really strong central trunk here. And we thought, you know what? Let's make this into like a little topiary or a mini hydrangea tree. And so we trimmed off any side branches that were coming up, and so that way all the growth is going to happen up here. We can keep an eye on this area too to make sure nothing grows on here. And we just wanted to kind of have fun with it. And because it looks so different from the other early evolutions that we have, we just thought, well, we're going to keep this one for ourselves. And also it'll be fun just to kind of watch it and keep an eye on it and just enjoy it that way. And then I also have a couple other perennials that I'm sticking in. So I'll go through and kind of tell you what I'm working on here. This is not what I'd call like a garden bed or anything like that. This is just kind of a row that we're planting things in, partly to be able to show people the plants, but also because we don't really mind these rows very much, and back behind us, that kind of gets a little bit chaotic. I'm just planting some visual interest to kind of distract people from seeing what's going on behind that. So these might just be temporary too. They might be here for a couple of years and we might move them, or maybe we're going to love it and start working them into maybe more of a plan. But right now, it's just I want to get these in the ground, and it is kind of November. It's really late to be planting, but because these plants have already gone dormant, this one's almost dormant, I'm not too worried about them. I know they say you should have like 6 weeks before the ground freezes, and the ground could freeze before that, but they're not planting any roots, and these we would have to keep in the pots over the winter anyway. So I'm kind of like, you know what, we're gonna just give this a go. We've had really good luck with planting this late in the past because these are all zone hardy plants as well. So we're gonna give it a go. Let me tell you a little bit more about the plants that I've got in this row. So here's that early evolution hydrangea. This here is a Amsonia called String Theory, and it looks like nothing now, but this is a really beautiful spring bloomer. And then the nice thing about it is that as the fall comes on, it starts getting this beautiful golden color. So you can enjoy it spring, summer, and fall. So this one, there's nothing wrong with this plant, but I just thought, you know what, we need some spring color in here because the hydrangeas are much later in the season. This is that little lime punch, and you can see just how crooked that one is. This here is a summerific perfect storm hardy hibiscus, and we've had these in the grow bags now for this will be their second winter, so I think it's time for me to get them out of here. The hardy hibiscus get a really kind of hardy root system going, and eventually they're just not going to be happy, I think, in this grow bag. So I want to just get this in the ground. I'm looking forward to these, and these are such beautiful, beautiful plants. In this row, we have some lilies here, so these are going to, continue. I think what I'm going to do is when I plant the hydrangeas, I'm going to go just a little bit farther behind. Then I have 3, I think these are quickfire fabs, yep. So I have 3 quickfire fabs. Again, you can see how these are growing, and I am a little worried about this one. You can see how this trunk, everything's kind of wound together. I'm probably going to cut off a little bit of this just to kind of protect it, because these will start growing together and they could snap off. So a little work on there. This one is another one. This one's not too bad, but I want to kind of give it a little plant up and straighten out. This one needs to be straightened out. This one here is another plant that I love. It's a spring bloomer. Again, doesn't look like anything now, but it's a Baptisia, and it is the Decadence Lemon Meringue. And this is a beautiful plant, both for its flowers, because it blooms pretty early, not as early as the Amsonia usually, but beautiful yellow flowers. And then it gets seed pods that look really great. And I love how this shrub kind of grows, and I love how the leaves look on it. And then I've got another hardy hibiscus here. This one is summerific French vanilla. This is more of a white one, has a little bit more of a kind of a different habit than the other ones. This is another hydrangea that kind of is doing the tree form thing, so that's a little lime. So we're going to just keep training that one up. This is another summerific hibiscus, a hardy hibiscus, and this one is the Berry Awesome. Really nice color on that one. And then this one here is a Zinfandel. And this one is one of my favorites. It gets really, big, beautiful flowers with great color. But you can see this one is doing the same thing where it needs to be corrected. So rather than, potting them up or repotting them, I'm just going to put them in the ground and enjoy them. So again, nothing fancy about this row, but this is going to keep me busy for a little while. There are a couple things you might notice about how I plant these this time of year. The first being is that I don't dig my hole any deeper or wider than I have to. And there's a couple reasons for that. The number one reason is that it's easier, but also it's not necessary. These plants are going to do just fine in this native soil. I'm going to be adding compost to it in the spring, so they should be just fine. Now, we often do say that it's a good idea to amend your soil. So when you do that, you would take your native soil and you'd mix up to 50% of some kind of amendment, like compost or something else. And that gives a lot of extra nutrients to encourage root growth. But this time of year, I'm not going to have any growth, and there's a risk that that amendment that I put in there is going to hold moisture, and it could cause problems, with the plant. So I want it to just be whatever kind of native soil we have in there wrapped, around what was, in the pot. So that's how I do that part of it. The other thing that seems to drive people crazy, I don't rough up my roots when I plant these. So a lot of people swear by it. I've been looking at the research on this, and overall, there's really not any benefits one way or the other. There is some risk that you could expose your plant to some pathogens or diseases or things if you rough up the roots. But overall, whether you're a root rougher or you're not, it's not going to make a big difference. So I think it's worth saving myself that extra step. When I'm putting soil back in the hole, I'm careful not to add some of the dried leaves or any of the grasses or roots or anything like that. Although those things make good compost, they haven't broken down yet, so they're not going to benefit the plant right now. So it's better for me to just put those on the compost pile and use that when they're ready, not use them right now. With these particular plants, I'm also putting them in so that the kind of soil line is level with the ground line. So it looks as if the trunk of the plant is coming right out of the soil. I'm not doing where there's like a little dish or sunken area. Other people will have their plants kind of raised up an inch or something like that. There are certain situations where that's beneficial. With these plants, there's really no reason for that. This is kind of the standard way that I do it, and it's been working, so that's what I stick with. I still have 2 hardy hibiscus in grow bags that I need to get in the ground. I noticed when I planted the other ones, the roots were right to the edge and they were pushing right to the bottom. Now eventually they would just push through that grow bag. A grow bag is no match for a hardy hibiscus and its roots, because they're really, really strong roots. But I thought the perfect place is down here at the end of the driveway. I had tested 2 out here, not this last spring, but the spring before, and boy, this year, it was spectacular. One of them had sold the year before, so I only got to see one in action, but it was huge. The flowers were enormous, the plant got really large, and it was blooming for such a long time. Absolutely an incredible plant. So I want to get more down here. Now, and the other ones, I took them out of the grow bags because really, if we don't have to put them in a grow bag, we don't. But these I'm going to keep in the grow bag, but I'm going to maybe cut the bottoms off and give them a little slash, only because this area gets really grassy and there's a lot of vigorous kind of plants that will try to encroach on it. So I'm going to use that grow bag kind of as basically edging to keep out the other plants for now, and just kind of go from there. And this area is so perfect because it's kind of boggy, kind of wet. They like that. I am being very mindful of how much space. You're going to want to always give, especially the summerific varieties, at least 4 feet between each plant, because they get a lot bigger and it can be really deceptive, because right now it looks like this itty bitty thing, but they get very, very large. So I'm going to get these in the ground, and I can't wait till like next August when they start to bloom. It's going to be spectacular. Okay, so they're all in, but I am bringing in the inspector. My sister's gonna have her snips because I noticed some of these hydrangeas, now that they've been righted, there's still one more round of trimming that probably will be a benefit for them. So I'm bringing her in. She doesn't want to be on camera, so you're just gonna see her hands in action. Okay, what are we looking at?
I am looking at some that are going to cross later. So as this one gets bigger and this one gets bigger, they're going to cross, and there's going to be a weak point right there. So I just take it out. The other ones all look pretty good. I think we'll be okay on that one.
Okay. What about this one? So I got this one pretty straight, but it feels to me like it's still like really leaning.
Heavy on this side.
So what do we do to, is it, oh, you're just gonna do the push action?
I'm gonna push a little, but I still think you're gonna need to lighten up this side of it.
Okay.
So I do see there's some new little guys in there. So that'll be a nice branch next year. And also in here, I'm gonna shorten this one up. And you can see it's really short on this side. I'd like to get them all kind of the same size. So I'm gonna go through and give it all a little more of a haircut. We just want it a little more balanced so it doesn't end up leaning more. And next year, we'll see how strong this one gets, and hopefully we can cut off another big one so we can just have them on opposite sides.
Okay. Then, how about this one?
Okay, this one, oh, he's got all kinds of stuff. If you look way down in here, this one's already...
Get up there. It's hard to get in there. There we go.
This one's already pushing into that one. And since the big one looks like he wants to be the dominant one, I'm going to go underneath and cut that one right out of there.
And I don't know how well you can
so
see.
that it's not, we don't want it to still be pressing on there. It'll cause a weak spot, and once your flowers get really big, it ends up snapping one or both of them.
Sorry, I'm all over the place with the camera, but...
The other ones look pretty good though. There was just the one that was making it.
Okay.
And it's a nice shape. I like it.
Okay.
Oh boy. This one doesn't look too bad, really. I'm afraid where this little knot is, that's going to eventually be a weaker point. But I'll leave it another year, but I'll make sure I check that joint next year. Because it looks like it might have been cracked at one point over there. And I'd rather cut them when they're smaller than with big, huge flowers on there and have it come down in a rainstorm. But I think I'm going to leave them. This one I think is going to have to go though, because we don't have any strong stems on that side, and it's going to look a little lopsided. So I am looking for where it looks like there's going to be some little branches for next year.
So this is the growth node there. That's the growth node there.
Yes, and there's some more right here. And it's just because the other side doesn't have any that size. And now even these, I think we're going to have to shorten up a little bit. I want to keep our tags. We don't want to lose track. See, that one's about that size. I want to do the same thing over here. And these are our side ones that we want nice and full. And since we do have 3 of them up here, this one looks a little bigger. This one might catch up. Maybe we should put some more fertilizer next year on that side. Try to trick it.
Okay, this one I know there's a problem.
Okay, can you see this one? I don't know what angle you need for this.
So there we go.
This one wants to grow right on top of that one.
Right over here. Aha.
So if we leave it, it will rub on this and make it weaker, and rub on this one. So I am actually going to take it right to the base because I don't want it to try to shoot out the other way either. And there's another one down here. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
It's already taking the bark off down there.
Oh, do that again, because... Yeah, so you can see the rubbing action.
It starts rubbing off in there, and we don't want that. And I just try to cut them as close as I can. We don't put anything on them. We haven't had a problem. And now looking at the rest of this one, he's got some, these are going to be like future problems because they're already tangled, and there's a lot of new growth that can come out of here. So I rather encourage some lower branches. then let them eventually cross. How are we looking for shape? Is it heavier on that side?
It's a lot heavier on this side.
Because I think I keep looking for where these little bumps are, I call them, because that's where little branches are going to pop out next year. And here we have another big one. I'm going to have to put your tag on after. And you know what? There's a little spot right there anyways, so I'm going to go below that. And I kind of just keep going around to get them tucked into about the same size. I do keep them shorter around the bottom. I'm wondering, those look like they kind of balance each other out, hey?
Depends on which angle you look
How about our
at.
top here? Let's not do it anymore. I am tempted to take off, and you know what? I am going to take these off. There. Much better.
Beautiful.
I need your tag
Now,
yet.
what about this cutie?
Now, I already know that this one's going to be good because I attacked this one in the greenhouse. Sometimes I find some that have a nice, strong center stem, and I kind of tell myself I'm going to groom it into a tree, but every year somebody ends up buying them. So these are last year's. Those don't need to be on there. But when I find something like this, I end up cutting off the lower ones. And sometimes it's nice to have one that flowers like a little ball, but usually you don't see that anyways. The flowers will drop down. They'll be heavy enough. But I consider it like a personal topiary. I like those.
What about the hardy hibiscus, the summerific?
Well, you can either leave them for snowman arms for your children, for grandkids, or we just cut them off. You can see last year's, this year's.
Yep.
They look about the same.
And then here's one more.
This guy just looks funny all over.
Oh, what do you mean by funny?
I feel like this one, with this one crossing over, this one's going to end up falling on that one. And even though this one's larger, I'm probably going to cut this here. I want it to come out this way more, rather than grow on the opposite side.
Okay.
And this looked like he had a rough,
bit of an
windy,
injury.
Yeah. So that's just going to be a week later. But now that he's lopsided, now we have to come down on the other side as well. We'll see what he looks like next year. Usually you can go pretty heavy and they're fine with it. There, got him tucked in a little bit.
Wonderful. Thank you.